Howdy, Buffalo Bart here, and welcome. We are live. All right. So, what I've got here to start off with is a blank clone of my simple multiplayer template. And if you've already got a copy of it, then all you really have to do to start a fresh project is find where it's located. And I'm using the 419 version. It's all the same thing. Just right click on it, select clone, give it a new name, and for some reason whenever I do it this way, now look at all this garbage that it puts in here. All you have to do is select browse, tell it what folder you want it to go to, and it cleans that up. Click on create, and I'm not going to create another one, but when you do click create, just click OK on the next screen and give it a second, and it will create. This one, it's going to be the animation swap, so I'm going to go from there. And next thing I'm going to do is I want a character I can add to it. So actually the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and add in the animation starter pack. I'm going to add that as well. So select add to project, select the project, and add. It's a whole whopping 25.4 megabytes. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in, I think, the polygon heist. Sorry, I'm just going to get that off screen here. And once I select that, I'm going to add to project, same thing, and it'll add it in here as well. So I have a character that I can animate and that has weapons. So the first thing that I want to do is we have to go ahead and set up our UE4 mannequin, because the fact that it's got a unarmed animation, we want to use it, and we're going to retarget everything anyway. So for preparation, I'm going to go ahead and make, well, I guess I can use the existing one. I'm normally using multiple of the polygon assets, so what I generally do is I create a new folder. In this case, I've already got one. It's called characters. I'm going to create a new folder called mesh. And inside that mesh, what I'll do is I'll grab from the assets, any of the assets, honestly, from Cindy Studios. I'm going to grab the characters and the skeleton, and I'm going to take that skeleton and I'm going to left click on it and drag its butt over here to the mesh folder. Copy here, and I'm going to go ahead and select it, hit F2, and call it poly underscore skelly. Doesn't matter what you call it, it's your own personal version of that skeleton. The next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I've got a animation folder. So inside my characters folder, I'm going to create a folder called animations, and then I'm going to create one for unarmed, create another one called rifle. That way I've got locations for them already. Going to go to the UE4 mannequin skeleton, and since it's in a Y pose and everything else on the planet's in a T pose, first thing I want to do is select humanoid rig, and then I want to go ahead and grab the upper arm of 50, the lower arm I want to go down 10, back 20, hand up 10, and just replicate that on the other side, and that is not the other side. So upper arm, not spine, so we'll go 50, nope, get your ass back up there, and then we want to go down and back, and let's bring the hand up. So now we have it in a actual T pose. Then I want to hit modify a pose and use current pose, save, and then go ahead and close it. Hit save all, and I'm going to go ahead and go to my lobby map. And it is an empty map, just 4-player starts, just a bare bones, something for us to kind of experiment around with. So as you can see, we're on the UE4 mannequin. So let's change over to the the Cindy Studios character, and inside the polygon, I'm going to go ahead and select, I'm just going to select a couple. The FBI female, FBI male, and SWAT character. But normally you can select all the skeletal meshes. Right click, go to skeleton, assign skeleton, and I'm going to use my poly skeleton. And since I only selected 3, yes, we're going to have to add the glasses in, and there you go. It's all automatic. So now that that is done, then we can go back to our mesh and open it up, and you can see we've got female character, FBI character, and the SWAT character. We're going to use the male FBI guy, apply to asset, and save. And that's all we have to do now with our mesh. That's done. So we want to make our character use that animation and that character. So we're going to go into our blueprint here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and get our animation set up. So now we're really, for now, done with the polygon asset pack for now. We want to do one more thing to the skeleton later, but let's get him animated first. So let's go ahead and go to our animations, and we have a third-person animation blueprint. Sorry if I'm moving kind of quick, you can always slow down and back it up a little bit, because this will be saved after I get done with it. So I'm going to duplicate the animation blueprint and retarget. Go to my poly skelly. You see now I have a preview there. I'm going to replace in this box right here. Got third person. Copy it just as you see it, and then replace it with polygon underscore. And then I'm going to hit change, and I'm going to tell it to go to my characters folder, animations, unarmed, and OK. Then retarget. Done. Hit save all. Go back to my character and the blueprint. Open up my player underscore base, which is the character that I use in here. And we want to go to our viewport, select mesh, select, there we go, our male, select our animation blueprint, and there we go. Now if we go in here and hit play, we can jump, we can walk around, we can do our thing. And now we're animated. Just that quick. We brought the character in, we brought the animations in, retargeted everything, and now we're all set. Now, animation starter pack. As much as I hate to have multiple versions of the animations, if you look inside here, it's got, in the root folder, you've got all these animations. No, we don't really need to mess with these at the moment. What we're going to do is retarget the animation blueprint as well. However, since when you install the animation starter pack, it adds its own frickin' skeleton, we now have to go into the UE4 mannequin skeleton in it, and go into that skeleton, and guess what? We got to do the same thing. Grab the upper arm, up 50, lower arm, down 10, back 20, hand up 10. Grab the other side, not spine 2, you jerk. Up 50. And then down 10, back 20, hand up 10, and we're done. Select humanoid rig, modify pose, use current, and save. Now that is done. We'll hit the save all again. Now what I want to do is go back to this root folder of the animation starter pack, and we're going to scroll down, and we have this. Now we're going to have to do a few changes and tweaks here and there, but what we want to start off with is we want to go ahead and retarget this. But man, we got all this junk to rename. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to Control C. All I did was click on it so that I can do like a rename. Yeah, this stuff is so super simple. The reason why I copied the whole name in just then is now that when I go to retarget animation, and come in here, I want to replace, and I'm going to hit Control V and paste all that garbo in there, and I'm going to replace it with poly rifle. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit poly skelly, hit change, and now I want to go to my character folder, animations, rifle, and select OK, and then retarget. Now, it's done for the most part, and probably gonna have to go and shoot my neighbor because he decides that you know, yeah, gonna leave that alone. Idiot thinks that he lives in the ghetto, and this is an old white people neighborhood. Not being racist, but when you got old white people, they're always bitchy and gripey about everything. They give new meaning to the get off my lawn people, you know? And I became that person. I don't know when it happened, but I became that person, so. Alright, so we got the animation blueprint. However, we're going to have to make some changes because we're not using their animation blueprint, or their character blueprint. So we're going to end up having to change that. And there's going to be some variables that we're going to have to work with as well. So you can see that it's trying to cast to the UE4 ASP character. We don't want it. Yeah, neighbor's out there with his car and just pumping up the bass, you know. And we've already had this discussion with him about his music and noise levels. He wants to park on my grass on the side of my yard, but he doesn't want to act like a good neighbor. So I'm about to go put a brick through his window, rip the stereo out, set it on fire, and dare him to do anything. I'm a really nice guy. I'm really easy to get along with, but when you piss me off, I can get a little bit upset. And yeah. If you've watched the video of my desk guns, you'll see what I have within arm's reach of my desk. So if anybody tries to screw with me, I really hate it for them. I mean, I'm staring right at a $1,600 1911 right now. So anyway, I'm getting back to what the hell I was doing because now I'm pissed off and went to grumpy old white guy mode. So what we want to do is we've got that animation blueprint we're going to have to modify. We've got our original that we converted already. We're able to walk around and do things, but I want to be able to add in the ability to, whenever I add a weapon, then I want to switch over to this combat mode and use this animation blueprint. You can see that it's modifying the jump parameters as well. So we're going to have to change the way that we jump to begin with. So if we go to our player blueprint, we'll notice that right here we have input action jump. We just have jump and stop jumping. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to move it down for now so that we can modify this jump and get your buttocks right there. Now we want to take a look at the one from the animation starter pack. And if we go over here to the root of the animation starter pack, we have the character blueprint here. Jump input. We got all of this stuff now, as opposed to what we had before. So what I want to do is I want to copy just all this stuff and here, and we know that it needs to connect in at certain points. I mean, also we can go ahead and just select all of it except for the input action jump. So I'm just going to Control C, and then I'm going to grab these two, delete them, Control V, now place that in there, connect that, and connect that, I believe it was. Yeah, okay. They got it on that. Now, this is a mess. So let's expand this up and expand this over. Now, if we hit compile, we're going to get an error. Oh no! So Let's click on this one right here where you get in the error. Right click on it and create variable jump button down. And let's compile and save again. It automatically created that variable for us just by doing that. So it sets our jump velocity and everything else in here. So now that we've got that in our actual player, is there anything else we need to modify? You can see this one right here, crouch. There's no key binding for that crouch. So if we want to use crouch, we're going to have to create a key binding. So we're going to go to Edit, Project Settings, go, come on, you can do it. Input, Action Mapping, and we need to create a new one. And we're going to call this crouch. And we want the keyboard C key, C as in Charlie for crouch, and that's it. That's what we want to do. So now, if we hit compile, that should clear up the error in this one. There's nothing else we really need to grab from in here. Your movement input and everything else is going to be the same. So we're also going to need this crouch. Grab crouching, Control C, and Control V. We'll put that in there, and now we're going to be able to crouch. However, it won't work unless we're actually in the other animation blueprint. You know, not a big deal, not a deal breaker, but you don't really need to be crouching unless you're actually in combat. So we'll leave that the way it is for now. Set crouch button down. So again, we have that. We right click and create variable. Compile and save, and errors are fixed. Simple. Alright, now that we've got this done, we have these two variables now in our character. We don't need the animation, blah, 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 the ASP frickin' character blueprint. We don't need to look at that anymore. We copied out what we needed. So now we've got to look at the animation blueprints. So we should be done with your behind and your behind. If we look now at our rifle animation and our rifle animation blueprint. Now this is where we have this and this. These two are the same, so we need to fix those. We need to change it to where it's casting to our player that we're actually using. So if you come over here from try get pawn owner, we can actually just right click here and cast to player underscore base, which is the one that I'm using. And we know that we need to link it from here to here. And I'm just going to grab one at a time so that it keeps it simple. Drag to there. Now we know we may not be able to use these at all because it sometimes will screw up, but let's go ahead and connect from our executable node to the sequencer node. And we need to go ahead and drag off from here and jump button down, get a reference to it. And also we will need to get crouch button down. So we've got these two now, and we see that the crouch button down goes to there. This may or may not work, but we'll find out. And this one goes to here. Now it's kind of hard to not screw this up the first time you go through here. We're going to delete those two, and that should fix that part. And again, we need to cast to player underscore base or third person character or whatever it is you're using. So we need to connect that set to here. Would you quit being a butthole? Connect your behind. Then you to here. Set jump button down. Alright, so it doesn't want me to do that, so I can do this. Set jump button down. now connect that to here, and now we can connect try get pawn owner to the object here, and now we can delete these two. It looks confusing, but just follow your lines and you'll see where everything goes. Now if we hit compile and save, we shouldn't have any errors. This should work. Should. Alright, so now what I want to do is I want to be able to switch between these animations. So I hit play. The first thing is I got a mouse cursor. I hate this little stupid insignificant bug. So I'm going to go to my blueprints, open level blueprint, and event begin play. And I want to go ahead and say set input to game only. And we want to get player controller. And we want to go ahead and set show mouse cursor, leave that unchecked, and there we go. Compile, save, close. Now if we hit play, look, no mouse cursor. We can just go right into moving around. So now I want to be able to switch over to that animation blueprint. So let's see if we targeted everything and retargeted everything correctly. So let's go ahead and clean up a hair by moving you up to here. Now we're going to do this the easy way. We're going to go ahead and for right now, and I'm going to type in escape, go to keyboard events, escape. We're not actually going to use the escape key for this function, but we can come over here now to our input key, select the keyboard, and I'm going to use the number 1. So I'll reach up there and hit number 1 on my keyboard, and let's do a flip-flop so that we can use it as a toggle mechanism. And when we hit this the first time, we want to set anim instant class mesh. And I'm going to drag this mesh reference here. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. Anim instance. So now I've got two of the same thing here. So the first time we actually hit it, we're going to do 1. And we're going to change this to we hit it the first time, we want the poly rifle, and we hit it again, we want poly Anim BP, which is our unarmed. So in theory, now when we hit the number 1 key, we're going to change to this animation blueprint. When we hit it again, we're going to go back to the original animation blueprint. So you can see we first start off, we're walking around, everything is good. We can jump, look around, that kind of stuff. If I hit the 1 key now, you can see he switches over. He's holding a gun. I can run around, I can jump, which I hate that jump mechanism. And we can crouch. Now, crouch is momentary. I don't like a momentary crouch. I like to toggle my crouch. So if you want to change it from crouching from pressed and released, which is what the default is from the animation starter pack, I don't know, you may like doing a momentary crouch, but I don't. I really don't. So we're going to break these two, just holding down the control key and left clicking on the line itself. And I'm going to do another flip-flop. So I'm going to put that in here, and now whenever we do it the first time, it's going to crouch. When we hit it again, it's going to stop crouching. So to me, I like that better. So we'll hit compile and save. And so now we're going to stimulate that we're running around. Now we want to go into combat mode. I hit the number 1 key, and now I'm holding my weapon from the hip. Now, if you wanted to do the same thing, you're going to have to create another blueprint for him to holding it at his shoulder, and it's going to be the same thing, and then you say, okay, I want to aim. So as soon as you hit that right mouse button, we'll say it'll bang. It'll change the animation blueprint to where he's holding it from the shoulder, and you can change your camera, you can do all that stuff too. So now we can crouch, hit the key and let go, hit it again, he stands back up. While you're crouching, you can still walk, you can even jump, but hit the crouch and he jumps up for some reason. Alright, so that's that. We can hit the number 1 key and go back to unarmed animation. It's super simple to do that for changing your animation blueprints. Alrighty, so why don't we go ahead and tell it to add us a weapon while we're at it. So let's go ahead and grab from the polygon heist. Let's grab from the mesh folder, weapons rigged. Let's look inside here first. The one thing I love about this is you've got the ability to set up your weapons to have a vertical grip, carry handle, silencer, flashlight, scope, red dot scope, things of that nature. You can add it to your weapon itself. Like say if you wanted the M4 and you want to add a silencer to it or a flashlight to it or the vertical grip, you can. I'm actually going to close my player base for just a moment. We're actually going to go into, well, let's say you want the AK. How about that one instead? I always do the M4, so I'm going to do the AK this time. So what if you want to add those things on there? You're going to have to go to the actual weapons rigged, if you're using the polygon stuff, and find your AK. And you'll notice that this is just the skeleton mesh for it. There's no magazine, and that can be a problem. So what we need to do is we need to add the magazine, we need to add the scope, we need to add a silencer, just because, maybe a vertical grip, flashlight. Let's put all the goodies on there. So let's go to our skeleton for it. And if you want to add those items to your weapons, then alright, that's close enough. First thing I want to do is select that, and I need to go ahead and add in a couple of things. I'm going to right click and add a socket, and we're going to call it magazine, because it's a magazine, it ain't no damn clip. Then we want to add a preview asset, and type in mag. I know they call this the Rifle Bandit because they didn't want to call it an AK-47, which it actually is. And I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And I'm just going to slide it around till we actually get it in about the right position. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just need to get it there. Because the model is not perfect, I'm just going to center it on the magazine well. It's good model. I like it. Don't get me wrong. It's just not perfect. So now we have a magazine, and let's add in another socket, and we're going to call that scope. Want to add in a preview asset to that, and we want the red dot, and yeah, it doesn't matter which one I'm using here. I'm going to use the static meshes. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to rotate it back 90 degrees. And just going to drag it into place. Red dot scopes, you don't have to worry about the location. You could put a damn thing up here on top of the front side if you wanted to. There's no eye relief on a red dot. So again, let's go ahead and add in the grip. And I'll go ahead and add in, we're almost done screwing with this. I don't want to sit here and waste too much time. So vertical grip, and again, rotate it 90 degrees down, move it in position, get it to where you like it. I'm actually going to put it here because I'm also going to add one more. Add socket, and it's going to be light. Now there are ways you can actually make the flashlight work. So if you're using it and you wanted to make it toggle on and off, they actually call it a torch. So you can activate and deactivate the actual point light or whatever you use for it. We're actually going to be weird and put it all the way up here where the rear bayonet lug is. And I'm not going to worry about the silencer for right now. You get the point of how you can add these things in. So let's hit save and close. And the next thing we need to do is go back to our mesh for our character. Go to our polyskelly. And let's go ahead and change this out. Well, we're using the male FBI character. So go there. Apply to asset. Change the preview controller to use specific animation. And the animation that I want to use is idle rifle hip. So now we've got it in that animation. I want to go ahead and select the right hand, and I'm going to right click here also and add a socket, and I'm going to call it main hand. That's just what I always call mine. I'm going to right click, add preview asset, and it's a bandit rifle. So I'm also going to hit the pause because I want this to be still, and I just want to go ahead and rotate this around and make it look correct for the position that we're in right now. You're going to have to undo snapping because it's not going to be right. And if you click off of the wrong thing, just click back on your main hand. And now you can see that we want to go ahead and get the rotation right first, this way, and then go ahead and move it around. So I'm going to uncheck the snapping on rotation so I can kind of fine tune it a little bit better. And same thing on here. I don't want it to snap. I wanted to get it just about right. Let's go ahead and go back to our rotation. I'm not going to be 100% perfect on it right now. You can spend as much time as you want making it absolutely perfect, but I just want to get it close enough. And I'm pretty sure an American FBI agent would not be using an AK, but you know what? I don't care. That's good enough. So let's go ahead and hit save and close. Now what I want to do is go back to our player blueprint and open up here. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to the viewport, and I am going to select mesh. Then I'm going to go back over here, go back to my weapons rigged, go back to my AK-47 or the weapon rifle bandit 1, select the skeletal mesh. Now I'm going to add component, and whenever I select skeletal mesh, the rifle's already selected. So now I'm going to select the parent socket, go to main hand, and there we go. Compile and save. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and scroll down while I've got that weapon selected, come down to visible and uncheck visible. Hit compile and save. So now going back into our event graph, what we want to do here is when we're doing our flip-flop thing here, we want to set the animation instance class. Now I haven't activated all the other little cool bits to the AK yet, but ice water. I'm actually drinking a beverage that's good for me for once. Alright, so when we change to the rifle animation blueprint, we want to go ahead and get a reference to our weapon bandit. I'm going to go ahead and just open that gap up just a wee bit. Because I'm weird, I'm just going to shove that in here. And I need to set visibility. Control C, Control V. So now, just link that off to here. Link this off to here. This to this. and neaten that up just a wee bit. So I'm going to do this. So now when we change to that animation blueprint, we're going to make the AK visible, and then whenever we switch back to our regular, we're going to turn off the visibility. So let's see if this works. So now, no gun, walk around, everything is cool. Bang, we got a gun. Yep, gun's gone. So if you want to make all those other parts active, you could actually just go ahead and attach them the same way. You select your rifle bandit, and you'll have to do all of those parts separately since if you're going to do it this way. I generally go ahead and just, for the most part, I'm not going to be doing anything fancy with weapons on this particular project because I'm probably going to end up deleting it after we get done with it. But we have a weapon, hit the one key, we don't. Hit one key, weapons out, we can crouch, do our thing, and there you go. So I guess if you wanted to do something else, just add a minor amount of functionality. We'll go back to our player, and just for giggles, I'm going to go ahead and let's look at our viewport. And short term, I can take and make that weapon. I'm not going to do it that way. You could make your weapon visible and use your weapon as a starting point and create a line trace and have the line trace actually emit from the weapon itself. But you don't have any kind of sighting and that kind of stuff. I won't get into actually getting the guns to work. This video was just more or less about doing what we just did there, was adding our basic animation to a character, and then when we go into a combat mode, we can actually draw our weapon out, and now we're in the actual combat animation. It would be the same thing if we had the animations already configured for right click. You go to your shoulder, your weapon, and let's see, you could do a toggle on that. Essentially what you would do is go back to your animation starter pack, and you look, and you've already got the animations in here for crouch, idle, iron sights, crouch, idle, rifle, hip. So you're essentially going to make an exact copy of the existing blueprint, but you're going to end up building it separately. You look at all the stuff inside your animation blueprint that you copied earlier. Each one of these animations has to be changed out because you've got your blend space for jog, blend space for crouch walk. You're going to have to create a blend space for your rifle at your shoulder, or in this case, they've got it listed as iron sights. So you're going to have to do all of this stuff right here, the crouch. You're going to have to set up the crouch to stand, stand to crouch, crouch walk. You're going to have to configure your own animation blend space, and it's not that difficult. But if you go into your animation folder and you've got rifle, you create a new folder. We'll call it rifle aimed, and then you've got to create a whole new blend space. Go into your animation, select blend space, select your polyskelly. However, the problem is you have not retargeted those animations, so you're going to end up having to go in here, since you haven't done the animation blueprint yet. You're going to have to go in here and find all of these animations: walk right iron sights, left iron sights, forward iron sights, backwards iron sights. Go through and just find anything that has iron sights on it. And I'm not worried about shotgun ones though. Reload animations, and that's one thing we haven't done either, is reload animations. That's something that's going to have to be done as an animation montage, and that's something for a different video. Idle rifle. Yeah, I hope this is good. I mean, this is good enough to get you started with. What I'll do is, I'm not not even gonna bother with this for right now though, is create an animation montage. So you find your reload animation. And I really suck at doing animation montages. I need to get back into doing them again. I haven't done them in a while, so I'm sure I'm going to screw it up if I try one now. Reload rifle iron sight. Reload rifle hip. So if we look at the actual animation, it's the full animation. So let's actually take that, and I'm going to drag that into, or drag a copy of it into at least. Let's see, our rifle animation folder. So if actually I don't want to copy it in there. Why am I doing that? Delete that. Scratch what I just said. We want to retarget that individual animation. So I want to go ahead and reload rifle hip. I'm going to right click, retarget animation, select my poly skelly, and yeah, we're going to leave it the way it is, name-wise. I'm just going to relocate it to my character, animation, rifle, and then OK, and retarget, and there it is. So now if we open it up, we have our polygon character doing the reload animation. And a very simple way of doing it, not the best way of doing it, is first off, let's mouse over it and we see that the sequence length is 2.16666667. So 2.16. We'll go into our character blueprints. And again, if you can't remember how to set it up, just right click and type in escape and then select keyboard event. Change that. We're going to make that the R key for reload. When we press it, what we want to do is play animation montage, but right now we're not doing an animation montage. So I'm actually going to do I want to play the animation. Play animation mesh. So I'm just going to do this. This is not the right way to do it. You want to do an animation blueprint. I mean, an animation montage. Then select. I'm just going to type in reload. Since we have all these other ones, got prone and reload pistol, and got two by the hip. So which one is it? Well, it's not the one inside the animation starter pack. If you just read it, whenever you mouse over it, you can see that this is the one that I wanted. And then I'm going to drag off from here. I'm going to type in anim instance. So I want to set my animation instance class, but in between I want to go ahead and put a delay in. And we said that delay time was 2.16. You could actually put the exact time of 6667 or whatever, but you know what? This will be fine. We want to go back to our... Since we're doing this one, we need to, first off, it may be a problem, but we're not going to worry about it just yet. We'll have to add some variables in to make sure that we can only do it if we have that animation blueprint running. So poly rifle, because what's going to happen now is if we try to hit play and we hit 1, we have our weapon, we hit R, it's going to do the animation and then go back to our animation blueprint that we had before. But if I hit 1, we're unarmed, and now if I hit R, it's going to do the animation and put me back in the wrong animation blueprint. So to prevent that from happening, we just need to create a new variable, and it's going to be has rifle or combat mode, and then we just want to go ahead and hold down the alternate key, left click and drop, and that's going to give us a set node. And then I can just Control C, Control V, add it in here as well. So now when we hit the key the first time, we're in combat mode. Second time, we're out of combat mode. So now to make R key reload function only work is we need to add a branch node. And I do appreciate that. Drag in combat mode, and now it'll only work if we are in combat mode. So in theory, now if I hit the 1 key, we go into our animation, hit R, we're going to reload, we're going to run around. Okay, we're out of combat mode. So let's hit the R key. Nothing's happening. It's not reloading because I'm not in combat mode. But I go into combat mode and I can reload. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a weird glitch where the rifle just flips off into the air. That's just because I could be doing this better with animation montages. There's other ways to add the weapons in by adding to the actor, but it can be a pain in the butt doing the switching that way. So now if I'm running around, I can pivot around this way. One last thing I'm going to do here is we're in this mode right here. It's nice that we can do this and look around and everything else, but do you really want to be able to fire while you're in this mode? So let's just add a view change in at the same time. So when I hit 1 to go into combat mode, it changes me into a first-person view. And I think that's my way of doing things. So if I look at my viewport, click on mesh, I want to add a component of a camera, or learn how to spell. Yep, camera. We're going to call this FPS camera. And then I'm going to go ahead and select the parent socket. Socket that to the head. If you're scrolling through here, you're in a rush and you can't figure out where the hell is the head, just type it in. So now I'm going to go ahead and uncheck real time because I don't like all that moving around crap when I'm trying to move stuff. Go to the rotate feature and let's go ahead and rotate it. Hit Control Z. Let's turn on snapping, and now hit our rotation, and you see it froze in a T-pose. So let's go back and do it again, and now select the FPS camera, rotation, now rotate it back 90 degrees, rotate it up 90 degrees, and we just want to move it now, and move it forward. You know what? That's gonna make me mad because it's not snapping exactly where I want it. And let's put it just in front of the eyeglasses. Turn snapping back on. Compile. Save. Before you do anything else, scroll down and turn off auto activate. And scroll back up and turn on use pawn control rotation. And turn real time back on, compile and save. Now, when we're in this mode, what we want to do next is get a reference to our FPS camera, get a reference to our follow camera. Make sure we're zoomed in all the way here. Now, I want to come off from the follow camera and deactivate. Come off of the FPS camera and activate. So we're turning off the FPS camera or the follow camera, and we're turning on the FPS camera. And I'm going to Control C and Control V. And here's where dyslexia comes in handy, because it really just was too simple up to this point. At this point, we want to make sure that we're going to the right location. We're going to deactivate the FPS camera and activate the follow camera. So there, that's all good. But after we go into our FPS mode, we activate our FPS camera, we want to, and I'll show you why we're going to do this step here. I'm going to compile and save, because now when we're running around here, everything is good, everything is great. I go into combat mode, and now I'm in first person view. I can look around, but wait, I can see myself. It's probably no bueno. So what I got to do to keep that from happening is drag off from there, type in yaw, and you want to set use controller rotation yaw. And again, Control C, Control V, and then check the top one and uncheck the bottom one. So what will happen here is you're going to tell it to use the controller rotation yaw when you're in first person mode, and turn it off when you go back out. So now if you go back into and play, you're running around, everything is great. You can look, see how cool yourself is. You hit number 1 and bang. You can look down, you can see your weapon. That's awesome. Now the weapon does not track with your head. That is also something that's going to take a little bit of doing, but for now this is close enough. You can actually tie all of that in so that your animations, when you look down, you point your weapon down. It's like setting up an aim space, but instead of setting up an aim space, you're actually you're tying in your actual skeletal movement. You're saying, okay, you know, you want this to work with that and so forth. But now if I hit 1, I'm back to the normal mode. Hit 1, I'm in combat mode. I can reload. I can watch myself reload. And yep, everything's good. Alright, that's good enough for now. We're almost at the 1 hour mark, and that's just kind of piddling around. Adding the magazine, adding the weapon correctly or better so that you have your magazine and all your goodies on there. And then tying in your, go to hell, autosave, nobody asked you. Tying in your animations to your head, that's something different. Creating the aim space. Because I don't know if you noticed, but there is a actual aim space here. Aim space hip, aim space iron sights. They are there. So it is technically possible to add those in. Takes a little bit more work, and we'll do that in another video. If anybody who knows me knows that after I eat, maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and I'm ready for a nap. I'm old, and that's what I do. So I am fighting to stay awake, and yes, it is not even 2 o'clock in the afternoon here, and I'm ready to go take a nap. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Keep up with me on Discord, and I'll look into making another video on this if you guys want. But this is pretty much stuff that I've covered a bunch of times. Just wanted to make it clearer in one more video, and utilizing the Cinti Studios characters. Because somebody else asked me about setting up the Cinti characters with the animation starter pack. So it's there, it's working, but just got to do the last couple little things. Alright guys, you guys take care, and we'll see you on Discord.